Om Jai Jai Ma. Om Kali Ma. Om Jai Ma. Om Jai Ma. There is only love. Namaste from Tiruvannamalai, the famous pilgrimage stop of Arunachala Mountain, Fire Mountain. Shiva Linga is a mountain of fire, and the home of the Ramana Maharishi ashram, and the famous guru and author of Who Am I, who advocated the path of jnana, or wisdom, or knowledge. So what's a nice bhakta like me doing in this place of the jnanas? Called to come, called to explore, called to feel for myself what the draw is here, but not from an intellectual perspective. But Shakti drew me here, right? Kali drew me here. Something for my sadhana, something for my spiritual path, my progression awaited me here. And I felt and intuited and discerned the signs and followed Shakti's guidance and call, the call of grace. And so here I am, Kali Bhakta in the land of the Yanis. The town has so many seekers, Western seekers and Indians on pilgrimage. And the Western seekers, maybe to a person, are all drawn by the still afterglow or glow of Ramana Maharishi and the path he popularized some 100 years ago. Many Western seekers attracted to the path of understanding, the path of wisdom, the path of inquiry called self-inquiry. So who am I? So who is the self? Who is the I am? What is I am? Who am I? And I'm simplifying a lot, but Ramana and others in his vibration advocated asking yourself this question until you got to the end. And at the end, silence would predominate. Nasargadatta was another Indian guru who advocated this path of the yani. Now, that never really attracted me. What attracted me was bhakti, singing and dancing, joy and love. So when I observed the yanis, never really connected with that. I appreciated it, but it didn't call me. That's why there are 4 different main paths in Indian philosophy for enlightenment. So if you have a different temperament, there's a path for you. But all paths lead to the top of the mountain, yeah? So whether you feel attracted to bhakti or jnana, they should both lead you to the same place. Many spiritual teachers and even some avatars stated that the path for Kali Yuga, the time of more density that we're in now, was bhakti, that this was not the time for jnana. That jnana was a practice for when the yugas, the cycles, the eras, the epochs were a less dense vibration and people could complete and understand correctly and practice jnana correctly. It's not to say that in this whole world of billions of people there can't be some authentic jnanis. Obviously there are. It's a question of what is the most efficacious path for the majority during this Kali Yuga. And it was widely recognized that bhakti, the path of devotion and love, which includes kirtan and bhajans and all the things we associate with bhakti, was the path for Kali Yuga. But both these paths will not be activated without the secret sauce, the Kundalini Shakti. You see, without Kundalini, bhakti is just kirtan. It's a sing-along with maybe a nice buzz. And without Shakti, jnana can be, and looks like most often is, just a hall of mirrors that leads some into disassociation and depression. But with Kundalini active and vibrant, bhakti and jnana come alive. The rasa, the juice, the vibrance, Shakti illuminates, reverberates, scintillates these paths. Without that, it's like dry wood without the fire. But even with that, it seems like, feels like, for me anyway, there's a certain progression to the path. It's often referred to as a progressive path for this reason. So the progression, for me, and seems like would be more widely applicable, is first Shakti, then Bhakti, then Jnana. In other words, first you need your Kundalini to enter Sushumna, then the heart can open and become activated with the requisite and expressive love and joy. Many tears will be shed. Then as Kundalini hits the crown chakra, we can talk about the mind and jnana. But if we jump into jnana without bhakti, and especially without Shakti, it looks like the results are unimpressive. Even with Shakti and Bhakti, it's still a difficult mountain to climb. Not very many people reach the top. So first Shakti, first the Kundalini activation, the Kundalini awakening, entering Sushumna, then the heart blossoms. Then the dawn of wisdom, or the opening of the crown chakra, or deep samadhi. You see? The mind cannot be forced to be quiet. That just leads to psychological disorders. The mind silences on its own accord due to the progression of the Kundalini Shakti. Ramana Maharishi, whose afterglow enlivens this whole town in Tamil Nadu, Tirumavalai, said you cannot control the mind. To control the first mind, you will need a second mind. To control the second mind, you need a third mind. To control the third. You see how it goes? That leads to schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder. Nothing good. So what silences the mind? Naturally, Kundalini reaches the higher centers, and all the confusion and dross and density is whittled away, burned off, dissolves, and so finally only the clear light remains. But premature silence, especially enforced silence, like a suppression, what good can come of that? Have we not all had that experience in our lives many times already? What happens to our throat chakras? What happens to our minds? What happens to our bodies with this enforced suppression? Anything good? But the strength, the supercharged bhakti, born of Shakti, naturally leads to jnana. Do you understand? We must go through these steps. One cannot put new wine into old wineskins. So says Jesus in Mark 2:2. Do you see? The whole body, the whole energy system, all 5 koshas, sheaths, must be shaktified, rearranged, and able to hold and to maintain the new consciousness. And without that, it will not happen. There needs to be a complete, quote-unquote, rewiring of the entire human being to be able to be the enlightened one. Do you understand? One cannot jump right to jnana, at least from my perspective, without the rewiring, reconditioning, and dissolving of all the blocks we have in the rest of the chakras and body. First Shakti, then Bhakti, then jnana. Be still and know that I am. But have you ever tried to just be still? Create so much anxiety, fidgetiness. Very hard to do. And as long as the mind is very active and the inner dialogue is running, how can one talk of stillness? One can be apparently externally still, but still have very strong thoughts and dialogue. That is not stillness. The outer stillness is a result of the inner stillness, and the inner stillness is a result of the Kundalini in the higher chakras. Do you understand? I am one in the light. There is no one, no body, no thing, only light. I am. Om Ashri Bhavatu Kamawa Dasa Bhakta Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace, all is love. Om Namah Shivaya.